Good morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope your Friday is off to a fantastic start. We're going to take you straight away live to a press conference that's going to get underway very shortly. This will be U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware announcing what they're calling one of the largest heroin fentanyl seizures in the state, in the district, in Delaware. We're going to get you out there live as soon as that happens. Of course, we're also keeping an eye on Hurricane Dorian. Here's the latest forecast for that from your Fox 29 Weather Authority. So we'll be getting you out to that news conference very shortly. Later this hour, we're hearing that Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida will visit the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida to receive a briefing. And then we'll hold a media availability. We'll try to get that turned around for you as soon as possible. But again, there is your look at ultimate Dopplers, the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. You see the cone of uncertainty there. So various potential landing points on the eastern seaboard there. Most of them landing in Florida. Of course, Georgia also a possibility. And we'll see where Dorian is headed as soon as possible. Of course, it could also, obviously go out to sea. It's a cone of uncertainty because the forecast isn't 100% certain, but these are the probable landing points for the hurricane at this point in time. Let's get you a quick look at current conditions. You're looking live at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. The Philadelphia Museum of Art in the background. Right now, it's a comfortable 72 outside. Dew point is 55, so not too sticky out there, not too humid. Winds out of the northwest at 11 miles per hour. Looks like crews are getting set up for that news conference in Delaware. We'll take you there. We'll wait for this to get underway.
Office. Today, the U.S. Attorney's Office will be announcing a large heroin seizure in partnership with the Middletown Police Department and DEA. The principals today will be U.S. Attorney David C. Weiss, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Sean Ellerman, and Chief Robert Crisilla. This will be your 2-minute warning. Thank you.
Sounds like they're about to get underway here in Delaware. Again, this is the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware announcing one of the largest heroin and fentanyl seizures in the district. So we'll be keeping tabs on this. Again, we'll also be keeping an eye on the National Hurricane Center, where there's expected to be a news conference later involving Governor Ron DeSantis as he gets a tour of the National Hurricane Center and a briefing on the hurricane. Let's get you another look at the projected path of Dorian. Could be a major hurricane by, I believe that says Friday. And the current forecast calls it for it to be a major hurricane, a Category 3 out of 5 hurricane. That's a Category 3 hurricane when it potentially impacts Florida or Georgia. We'll continue to get you the latest on fox29.com, on our social platforms, and of course on tonight's Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11. Let's get you back to that news conference where we expect U.S. attorneys to speak very shortly about the large heroin and fentanyl seizure that occurred in the first state.
Are you doing the Facebook stuff too? Yeah, they want us to, but I'm by myself. We're scheduled. They schedule us.
Looks like the news conference is getting underway. Let's take you to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware.
Good morning. This is to announce the arrests of Julian Rivera Villa, age 56, and Ricardo Perez Guillen, age 40, both of Gloucester City, New Jersey. As of now, both are charged with the distribution of fake 30-milligram oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl. Both defendants are currently detained. Additional charges will be forthcoming. On August 21st, defendant Perez Guillen distributed 1 kilogram of heroin and 600 fake oxys laced with fentanyl to a cooperating government witness in Newcastle County, Delaware. Perez Guillen was immediately arrested. Perez Guillen had previously distributed 150 fake oxys laced with fentanyl to the same government cooperator. On June 16th, defendant Rivera Villa sold 148 fake oxys laced with fentanyl to the same cooperating government witness. The defendants shared a trailer in Gloucester City, New Jersey. Defendants are both Mexican nationals and are in the country illegally. Law enforcement searched defendants' trailer home on August 21st. defendant Rivera Villa was arrested outside the trailer at the time of the search. Inside defendant's trailer, law enforcement located the drugs that are situated on that table. And the substances include 7 kilograms of heroin, 3 kilograms of cocaine, 14,000 of the fake oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl, and $28,000 in cash. A Ford Fusion that was registered to defendant Perez Guillen was located in the vicinity of defendant's trailer. 2 additional kilograms of heroin were found inside 2 hidden compartments within that vehicle. It is estimated that the retail value of the drugs seized during the course of this investigation exceeds $1 million. The potential devastation to be caused by the distribution of 10 kilograms of heroin, which pretty much equates to 1.4 million dosage units of heroin, 3 kilograms of cocaine, and over 14,000 pills that are laced with fentanyl is incalculable. This case was investigated by the Drug Enforcement Administration Group 42, their tactical diversion squad. The investigation from start to finish took all of 3 months. The Tactical Diversion Squad group consists of the following law enforcement agencies, some of whom are with me here today: the Drug Enforcement Administration, Middletown Police Department, Newark PD, Newcastle County PD, Date, Maryland State Police, Delaware State Police, the Wilmington Police Department, Delaware Probation and Parole, Newport Police Department, and the University of Delaware Police Department. This investigation was led by John Stewart of Middletown PD, Jeremy Smith of the DEA, and AUSA Alex Ibrahim from the United States Attorney's Office. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Sean Ellerman of the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Good morning. On behalf of DEA Philadelphia Field Division Special Agent Jonathan Wilson and myself, thank you for being here today on an announcement and a successful Operation DEA investigation. I want to first thank my federal and state and local partners for their assistance in this operation. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very clear here. This is a substantial amount of narcotics that is in the state of Delaware. This proves to us, as we always said, that they are high trafficking organizations operating not just in and around, not around, but in Delaware itself. DEA estimates that 1 kilogram of heroin produces 330,000 bags of heroin. That's 330,000 bags that did not hit our streets in Delaware. Throughout the course of this investigation, DEA's Tactical Diversion Squad seized over 10 kilograms of heroin, which is now 3.3 million doses of heroin that did not hit the streets, did not flood the communities from the beach to the city of Wilmington itself. As U.S. Attorney David Weiss just spoke about the counterfeit 30 milligram oxycodone tablets, they were laced with fentanyl. And we all know fentanyl has been a major contributor to thousands of overdose deaths throughout our country. At this point, I want to warn anyone who is battling with addiction, who is purchasing pills in neighborhoods, to realize there is a great possibility that you are getting counterfeit pills, a better possibility that they are laced with fentanyl. And unfortunately, keep buying these pills could result in your own death. The drug threat in America is real. The drug threat in Delaware is real. The best thing we can do is what we are doing now, working together to identify, disrupt, dismantle global trafficking organizations that are operating throughout our country and, more importantly, in the state of Delaware itself. I want to thank U.S. Attorney David Weiss for his continued partnership and our local and state counterparts. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I see this as a cooperative investigation, and I see how a teamwork effort was able to go ahead and bring this all together. And we're talking about a teamwork effort involving individuals that are committed to excellence. They're committed to a group effort which the group in turns kind of gets their energy from the individuals that are involved in it. So I credit the people involved in the task force, Detective John Stewart, one of my officers, and the DEA and their counterparts, which were happy to have the opportunity to go ahead and work with every one of these agencies every day, all working towards a common goal, and that's take those kind of drugs off the street. You heard the impact that this seizure has on the community, not only in the state of Delaware, but regionally. And that is going to impact drug distribution, not just in the state of Delaware, not just in the town of Middletown, not just in the city of Newark or in Newport. This is going to statewide, region-wide impact. So I'm very proud of the efforts by the members of the task force here, and just give them a job well done. Thank you.
So we'll take a couple questions, but to assist you guys, I just wanted to point out, well, these 3 packages here are the 3 kilograms of cocaine. The 5 packages here and 2 packages here, and the one in front these packages, these 2 represent the heroin that was seized. There are 2 additional kilograms that are still in New Jersey. These are the 14,000 oxycodone pills laced with heroin, and these are 600 from the prior distribution that I discussed earlier that took place on August 21st. And then there's some blue pills in the corner that we're still waiting to, or tablets that we're still waiting to identify. All right, we can take a few questions.
So, in the drug dealing world, there are drug dealers, and then there are even lower level of counterfeit drug dealers preying on other people who are taking drugs. Is that what you're basically saying? Like, drug dealers aren't to be trusted in the first place, and this is like another depth of...
Well, I don't know if I'd say lower level. I understand what the question poses. Certainly they're not lower level in terms of the harm that could be caused by the sale of these counterfeit drugs. But yeah, there's a sense that it's even more nefarious, at least if you're selling or if they are legally prescribed 30 milligram oxycodone pills. The person ingesting that substance hopefully has a lawful prescription, but even if not, the consumer knows what's in the drug ingested. With these kinds of substances, you literally have no idea what you're ingesting.
What in the world would the reason be for them to sell it with fentanyl? Forgive me, I'm not really sure, but why would they? Is it something more damaging than the original drug itself, than the oxycodone? What is the fentanyl?
I'll offer my perspective and invite Assistant Special Agent in Charge Element to offer his. I mean, fentanyl is cheaper than heroin. I suspect that the fentanyl is used to create a high that might otherwise accompany the ingestion of an actual oxycodone pill. But I suspect that it's cheaper and therefore more profitable to those who are distributing the substance.
Look, I don't have to tell anybody here that we're still in a crisis in the United States with fentanyl and with heroin. The question you ask is, and it'd be very blunt, it's word of mouth, that fentanyl can be a better high, a cheaper high, and it's more available. Word of mouth for any narcotics trafficking organization is their best selling point. We haven't changed the grips of this crisis, just the operations have changed. Now we're dealing with not just pharmaceuticals, but now we're dealing with a tremendous amount of fentanyl on the street. And don't forget, heroin and cocaine production is up throughout South America and Mexico.
Is this going to lead to arrests on a deeper level, like to possibly stem where these drugs are coming from?
Our investigation continues, so we'll have to wait and see.
How does the scale of this seizure compare to others you've done in the district, and also the composition with the fentanyl? How does that compare?
We believe, at least based on our recent historical comparisons, that the 10 kilograms of heroin is the most that we've seized in Delaware, and the 14,000 pills, certainly the most in that form that we've seized. How it compares to other fentanyl seizures, for instance, I know that downstate earlier this year, there was a 1 kilogram seizure of a substance packaged entirely different that was fentanyl. So don't know exactly how the two compare, but it's certainly a substantial fentanyl seizure for this district.
Can you say, oh, I'm sorry. Can you say what role Middletown Police played in the investigation?
Middletown Police, John Stewart was the lead agent in the investigation. They're a critical participant in the Tactical Diversion Task Force, so they played a substantial role in this investigation. We don't get into the precise role, but typically I'd say, without getting into these particulars, the lead agent is an agent who is quarterbacking in conjunction with DEA the investigation.
Thank you.
These two were selling in Middletown?
I'm sorry.
Is the Royal Farms in Middletown?
The Royal Farms that is mentioned in the affidavit, I believe, was in Newcastle County, Delaware.
Were they targeting Middletown?
Hmm?
Can you say where in Newcastle?
I can't say where. I know it was a Royal Farms parking lot that was in Newcastle County, Delaware.
Is the address provided?
It is not in the affidavit.
Were they targeting Middletown itself?
No, look, distribution on this scale targets not only Delaware, but the entire tri-state community. As I mentioned earlier, the two defendants resided in New Jersey. Certainly our experience with them was particular to Delaware. I don't know that they were that discriminating, but certainly the drugs that they distributed into Delaware, I suspect were destined for all portions of the state of Delaware.
Are you able to say how long they may have been distributing drugs here in Delaware, or is that part of what you guys are still trying to determine?
I can't say. I know that, as I said earlier, we started in June and we wrapped it up in August.
Were they being held?
I'm not sure where they're being held.
In federal custody?
Oh, federal custody.
Sir, is there any way that you can now draw a line between these defendants and these drugs to any particular overdose deaths? And if that's possible, could they then be linked to the deaths and charged in that?
So, if I understand the question, it's whether these defendants selling these substances would have contributed to any particular deaths. And I'd say I'm unaware of that. We're talking about the substances that we were able to interdict. So these are substances that fortunately never hit our streets. And always that's our focus in preventing this before it happens. I'm hopeful, but in all candor, I don't know. But I would hope that that no deaths were caused by the activities of these individuals. But I couldn't possibly know.
Any information on how you took them down?
Beyond what we've said.
Altercation, anything, how was there like a moment, or was there a sting or something like that?
The Rivera Villa was, as I said, arrested outside his trailer home at the time the search was executed on August 21st, and Perez Guillen was arrested in Newcastle County following his sale of the kilogram of heroin and 600 tablets of the oxys.
Immediately on site after the sale?
Immediately after the sale, he was arrested. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
You've been watching a news conference in Delaware where the U.S. Attorney's Office was announcing one of the largest heroin fentanyl seizures in that state. Officials having some of the product on display there, some of what was seized. Take down the banner so you can get a little bit of a look at that. Of course, they said that they had a warning for folks who might be buying oxycodone, I think they said, pills that may be laced with fentanyl to make sure that obviously you could be putting your life in danger by taking that. The suspects arrested, some of them from out of state, including New Jersey, selling the drugs into Delaware. It sounded like they were already in custody. So important information there for the public. You're looking live at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. I believe they are setting up now for the Made in America Festival there. I think that's what you're seeing in the foreground, a little bit further up the parkway. Road closure there, police car in the way, forcing traffic off the parkway. So lots of folks looking forward to the concert there. Let's get you to some news while we're waiting for some more about the approaching hurricane. Multiple people are in custody after police were shot at. It's just a couple weeks after 6 officers were shot in our city. Our Steve Keeley had this report from the city this morning.
2 weeks to the midnight moment, 2 Thursdays ago, when a North Philly man was tear gassed out of a long shootout and standoff with police, the SWAT team and its armored truck were back at another scene where a guy was shooting the cops. And this time, no one hit or hurt. After taking 4 men and 1 woman into custody from this building the shooter was seen by undercover detectives running into, the crime scene detectives hours later found 3 bullet shells outside where the 3 shots missed police. Then with a search warrant went inside and found a bullet and gun magazine, but no gun in this dilapidated building, so they called in the fire department to assist after looking from the second floor deck, wondering if the shooter came out during the barricade and tossed the gun up on the roof or the adjacent church roof.
At this point, one of the persons the officers believe fits the description of someone who fired the shots. But until we're 100% sure, that person won't be charged. But that's going to be part of our investigation at this time. But in addition to our 2 officers that were in plain clothes, we had a female witness that confirmed that, yes, she saw someone firing shots at the police officers.
And so for now, the latest gun fired trying to kill Philly cops is still out here on the streets somewhere between Germantown and Lehigh Avenues, among the many that put residents and cops' lives in danger every day in this town. In North Philadelphia, Steve Keeley, Fox 29 News.
Thank you to Steve for that report. As we look live outside our studios at 4th and Market Streets, some students are getting ready are either back at school or getting prepared. A Southwest Philadelphia school is getting students excited for that first day of school with a fun event. It's called Suit Up for School. Here is our Sabina Kuriakos out at the school today.
First days of school ever quite looked like this. We have teachers clapping, we have balloons, we have every kid who walks in these doors is getting cheered on as they prepare for a brand new school year. And here we have some more students walking up, and really quick, as they walk up, I want to grab you, Larry. You're the CEO, Larry Jones, of Richard Allen Preparatory Charter School.
Yes.
What an incredible way to welcome students back for the new year.
It's great. One of the things we look at is we celebrate so many things in our culture. We should be celebrating this. And the reality is how many people, adults, children, whoever, get an applause ever. So we want our children to be celebrated and applauded for coming to school, for doing the right thing, and setting a positive, strong example. We wanted to make sure we had positive role models who were here to greet them as well.
And it's called Suiting Up, and I was saying earlier, you guys look sharp.
Exactly. I mean, this is, sometimes we can all do different types of wardrobes, but we want to show students that we suit up. We expect our children to be in uniforms and ties, and we show them that we can do the same thing because...
And how does this carry on through this enthusiasm? How does it carry the kids on through the year?
Well, it carries them on because it starts off and shows that not only community members, but their teachers and staff members are celebrating them and care about them, and building these relationships.
And we can really tell how much you guys care about these students. I even saw some of the kids are a little bit shy, and you grab their hand yourself. Good morning, welcome to school. What grade are you starting this year?
Seventh.
7th grade. Good luck this year. All right, I'll let you get your cheers on. Have an awesome school year, guys. Back to you.
Looks like a very nice event there to help kids get back into the flow at their schools. Thank you to Sabina for that report. All right, moving on to some national news. The Trump administration issued a controversial new rule limiting automatic citizenship for children of some military service members stationed overseas. Here is a report on that.
Well, another person is out. New York Senator Kristen Gillibrand has dropped out of the 2020 race for the presidency just hours.
Let me take it back real quick there. My apologies. That is, you hear Mike introducing there, this is actually a report on New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand dropping out of the race for the Democratic nomination to the presidency. Apologies for that. But here is that report. We'll finish that up from our Fox News correspondent.
Well, another person is out. New York Senator Kristen Gillibrand has dropped out of the 2020 race for the presidency just hours after learning she would not qualify for the debate that's coming up in Houston.
And as the field starts to thin, new polls show a race that's remained remarkably stable, but the question is, will it stay that way?
Ellison, what do the latest polls say?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, so we have some new polls that we can show you to compare what's been going on as of late. Right now, though, 19 candidates are still in the race. Only 10 of them will take the stage at the DNC debate in Houston, Texas, next month.
The first two Democratic debates featured 20 candidates, 10 on the stage at once. Debate 3 is one night only. Biden, Booker, Buttigieg, Castro, Harris, Klobuchar, O'Rourke, Sanders, Warren, and Yang. 10 candidates, one stage. Hours before the official deadline to qualify, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said her campaign is over.
I know this isn't the result we wanted. We wanted to win this race. But it's important to know when it's not your time.
In order to qualify for the Houston debate, candidates needed 2% in at least 4 approved opinion polls, and they needed 130,000 unique donors. The DNC hoped the requirements would whittle down the crowded field. They said in 40 years, no candidate has polled under 2%, the fall ahead of a primary, and gone on to become the Democratic nominee. Some candidates say the party's logic is flawed.
The whole thing gets a little bit confusing, and you've got to jump way down into the weeds of the numbers and the statistics. But I think the bigger problem is that the whole process really lacks transparency.
But frontrunner Joe Biden said with so many on stage, it's tough to get his message across.
It makes it hard to have a debate when you have so many people and you're limited to 1 minute to tell your life story.
Two new national polls have former Vice President Joe Biden solidly leading the Democratic presidential primary race. Take a look at them back here. So in a USA Today Suffolk University poll, Biden is at 32%. Senator Elizabeth Warren at 14%, and Senator Bernie Sanders at 12%. A Quinnipiac poll closely mirrored those results. Both of these polls come on the heel of a Monmouth poll that showed a tighter race between the three candidates, though Monmouth has sort of backed off that, saying that they now believe that poll was an outlier. Mike, Alex?
It seemed like it was an outlier because it was so, Ellison, nice job. Thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Fox's Ellison Barber with that report on the latest in the race for 2020, the presidential nomination being sought by Democratic nominees. Of course, Republican President Donald Trump has two competitors now on the Republican side as well. So the race is on. And some of the candidates are starting to remove themselves from the race, seeing that they will not be able to make the stage at the next DNC primary debate. Let's get you a look at business news as well this morning. Keeping their doors open, hopefully, Forever 21 is preparing for potential bankruptcy filing. Here is that report from Good Day this morning.
Her friend Jill or her sister?
Joe.
Oh, Joe. They said Jill.
Jill and Joe are there together, but Joe is a woman.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. One of her best friends. It probably is her best friend. What'd you say?
Well, nothing.
Hard times have fallen on yet another retailer, Forever 21. I've said that I shop there all the time, but I was thinking about Century 21.
Yeah, that's a different one.
Yeah, not Forever 21.
But Tracy, I guess they can't call it forever because this means some stores may close?
No, quite a difference from Century 21.
Yeah.
We haven't heard of any store closures just yet, although that does typically happen with a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing. And Forever 21, yes, reportedly going to be filing for that Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. That's according to Bloomberg. Now, Forever 21, they had been working to restructure its debt, talking to potential lenders. However, those talks reportedly have broken down, so it's unclear what will happen next. But this Forever 21 bankruptcy filing, that could definitely be the next step. Maybe they will restructure, become a smaller, leaner company. As I mentioned, could come with some store closures. But this does fall in line with a number of other retailers this year that have already done the same thing. Charlotte Russe, Payless Shoe Source, Gymboree, Barney's, the list goes on, unfortunately.
And
really been a tough year for retail.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because I used to work at Charlotte Russe, but we always used to say with the Forever 21 people that we wouldn't want to be them who works there because they have so much inventory. Clothes are everywhere. Yeah. It's packed. They're on the floor. It's kind of hard to make sure when it's time to close. But I wonder if that's part of the issue. They just have so much stuff.
It could be. There is so much inventory, and it does change over very often. And what is most appealing for a lot of people is the price point.
Yep.
So perhaps that could play a role in why they are not doing so well.
Well, just online shopping's killing it. Stores.
But you can online shop there too. But it just seems to be affecting everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tracy, by the way, Tracy, thank you for liking my Instagram posts.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I
paying attention there, huh?
I do. I scroll down to see if Tracy liked it.
Thank you, Tracy.
Gives me validation of some sort. I'm not sure why. Okay.
And thank you to Tracy Carrasco for that report. You're looking live at the Dow Jones Industrial Average there, up 0.85%. Good for 222 points up. The index now standing at 26,260. This comes on the heel of some gains in the midst of the ongoing trade war with China on Wednesday. Dow Jones adding 258 points on Wednesday. I think I said today was Friday earlier. It's my Friday. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but it's of course Thursday. So Wednesday stock market gained 258 points, and they're back in that ballpark again today, up 225 at the moment. A couple other business items to report. Apple issuing an apology to users after facing criticism for hiring third-party contractors to listen to audio files of requests some iPhone users were making to Siri. Apple says this was all part of a program to help improve some of Siri's functions, but Apple is now promising change. The program will start up again in the fall, but will require customers to opt in to having their Siri commands listened to. And one other story, United Airlines affecting big changes to its frequent flyer miles program. The company says it's getting rid of the expiration date for its Mileage Plus program. Mileage Plus members previously only had 18 months to use up their points. Many felt the time limit made it difficult to save up enough miles to use towards more expensive flights. For more on business, log on to foxbusiness.com. All right, let's take another look at the National Hurricane Center. We are awaiting a possible news conference after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis gets a briefing at the National Hurricane Center there. So they've got the podium set up. We'll go there live if that is held. Again, here's a look at the current forecast, the projected path of the storm from the National Hurricane Center. As it's strengthening to a major hurricane, a Category 3, before making landfall potentially in Florida. You see the cone of uncertainty also carries it into the Gulf of Mexico or as far north as Georgia. So we'll be continuing to follow that. Let's get you a full look at your local weather here. Ultimate Doppler showing not much of anything right now. It's pretty quiet out there at the moment. Clear skies for the most part. Again, here is Market Street outside our studios. Currently 72 degrees. Dew point is 55. Wind out of the northwest at 11 miles per hour. Your current temperatures around the region. I might have ticked up a little bit there to 75. 70s for much of the area. 63 in Mount Pocono. See lots of yellow there along the east coast. Those 70s and then 60s back inland. When you get into the more mountainous Appalachian area and Poconos. U.S. temperatures, you see it is warm down in Florida where they're keeping an eye on Hurricane Dorian. It's 88 in both Miami and Tampa right now. On the Gulf Coast, it's 85 in New Orleans and 83 in Houston. Also on the Gulf Coast, like Tampa. West Coast is 60s. Some warm spots in the southwest. Vegas, Phoenix, and El Paso all in the 80s. Santa Fe a little cooler at 63. Locally, temperatures right about where they were this same time yesterday. Not much change there. Let's get you let's skip ahead to the 7-day forecast. Sunny and breezy Thursday, 83 at 10 on our, we got triple tens coming at us. 83 and sunny breezy on today. Tomorrow, sunny and warmer, 87. Saturday, 82, sunny and nice. Increasing clouds on Sunday, 83, with shower chance on Monday for Labor Day, 85. That's a beautiful Labor Day weekend. Tuesday, AM shower, PM sun, and then warming up on Wednesday. All right, let's get you out to Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis, I believe, is now speaking outside the National Hurricane Center. Let's listen in to this conversation.
This executive order allows more of that fuel to come. It also allows us to mobilize the National Guard. So, we're obviously working with Major General Eifert. With a track like this, it's uncertain where to deploy them, but obviously the National Guard is going to be on deck for this. I spoke with President Trump yesterday, and he assured me that the federal government would be with us every step of the way, supporting us in any way that they can. And I've also spoken with the acting FEMA director, and he assured me that they're going to be working closely with us. We do have the FEMA regional representative will be in the state EOC in Tallahassee, I think starting today. We will be standing up. The EOC is partially stood up today. It will be fully stood up tomorrow. Today also I'm going to be requesting a pre-landfall declaration from the federal government for protective measures and also direct federal assistance for generators and pumps. And I was able to speak with the acting director of FEMA this morning. We do not anticipate that being a problem, and so we look forward to submitting that to the White House and getting the president's approval on that. I've also been in contact with President of Florida State, John Thrasher. As many of you know, there's a football game scheduled for Saturday night, a big game against Boise State in Jacksonville. Given Jacksonville's location, given the uncertainty of this storm, they've looked for ways to figure out how they can accommodate that. And so I think they're going to go forward with the game, but they're not going to do it in Jacksonville. They're going to do the game in Tallahassee, and I think they're going to have more details for everybody who's interested in that going forward. The message, I think, right now is that all Floridians really need to monitor Hurricane Dorian and make the necessary preparations. This is a track that has a significant amount of uncertainty. I was talking with Ken and some of these people. You could make a case for places like Miami and the Keys to get impacted. You can make a case for it to be northern Florida, obviously central Florida. So really the key is to have your plan and make those preparations right now. And you have to assume that if you're affected by this storm, that you will lose power. So make accommodations to be able to weather that. Now, I've spoken with the president of Florida Power and Light. They are going to be mobilizing resources from across the southeast because, the state has stressed the importance of getting the power back on when it goes out. And so they're doing it, but there's no way you could have a storm of this significance and not lose power. So just prepare for that. You should also prepare if you're in an area that experiences flooding when you have significant rain events. Well, guess what? If you're impacted by this storm, you are going to see a lot of water. The Ken was showing me the threat of storm surge depending on where it hits. That threat is significant. But even in terms of the interior parts of the state that could be affected by really significant amounts of rain, we have rivers, we have different bodies of water, so be prepared for a lot of water. You should have 7 days of food and medicine and water as part of your plan. I know people are going to the stores now. Some of the water's flying off the shelf. You still have time to prepare, so do it. But have those preparations made in terms of food, water, and medicine. Familiarize yourself with possible shelters in your area. You don't know how the storm is necessarily going to track, and you need to have that information in case you have to avail yourself of those resources. Know which evacuation routes are available to you. Now, that's going to be a decision that the local communities are going to have to make in terms of whether that would be appropriate. Obviously, that's going to depend on the path that the storm ultimately takes, but know those routes in case that happens. And then if local authorities do order an evacuation, heed their call because they're looking at possible impacts in their areas, and if they see really significant storm surge affecting a certain area, that can be life-threatening. And so heed the call and evacuate if you're asked to. Now, if an evacuation is ordered, the Florida Department of Transportation will assist by doing things like waiving tolls, fees, and charges for the use of things like the Florida Turnpike and other public highways. We've had now hurricanes affect the state for a number of years recently. We had a period where we didn't have hurricanes for over a decade. Obviously, we're always bringing new people into the state. And so a lot of people are now experiencing hurricanes. For those who are new with this, let me stress preparation. Let me also remind people that have never been through this, because we have this happen every year. If you do use a generator, make sure you're using that generator properly. Do not let the exhaust go into your home. That it could be fatal. So use that in the proper way. And talk to your neighbors if you've never been through a hurricane here, because we do have a lot of corporate knowledge recently. In terms of some of our agencies, as school closures are announced, that will be posted on the Florida Department of Education website, which is www.fldoe.org/hurricane-info. As of this morning, no closures had been announced, but obviously we anticipate that as a possibility. Our Agency for Healthcare Administration has activated the emergency status system for healthcare facilities statewide so that they can enter their storm preparedness status, including generators and utility company information, emergency contacts, and bed availability. Florida has a 511 traveler information system, so stay informed about what's happening on the roadways. You can go to www.fl511.com. We don't know in terms of any evacuations, but obviously that will affect how these roads are operating. Our Department of Environmental Protection has completed pre-storm beach surveys, and pre-storm prep guidance has been distributed to all hazardous waste, drinking water, and wastewater facilities. And we've had 559 disaster debris management sites that have been pre-authorized in the affected counties. And obviously, as we add counties to that, there's going to be more of those sites that are going to be authorized. www.volunteerflorida.org is being prepared for its disaster mode so that it can coordinate people who are willing to volunteer their time and resources to assist people that are affected by Hurricane Dorian. Visit Florida has a partnership with Expedia for these disaster situations. You can go to www.expedia.com/Florida, and they have activated their emergency accommodations module. Obviously, if you're in an area where there's an evacuation, you want to know how far do you have to go to be safe, and is there going to be lodging available, and this Expedia app will be able to help you do that. So I just want everybody in Florida, particularly on the East Coast, but really this could have effects. You can make a case that this could have an effect in virtually every part of the state. I urge you to follow local reports. I urge you to watch the Weather Channel, listen to the National Hurricane Center for updates on the path of this storm. You can also go to my Twitter account in the governor's office. It's at Gov Ron DeSantis, at GovRonDeSantis. We will be posting updates on our account, and so will Florida State Emergency Response Team, and their Twitter handle is at FLSERT. And they're going to be doing constant updates. You can also go to www.floridadisaster.org. We have a wealth of information on there. But the time to act is now. If you haven't acted, act to make preparations. Do not wait until it's too late. If you prepared and then don't end up getting affected, no harm, no foul. But if you don't prepare and you are affected, that may be something that is difficult to recover from. And with that, I'm happy to take a few questions. So in terms of some of the contracts, so our emergency management director, Jared Moskowitz, has lined up contracts in advance, even before Dorian was on the radar, so that can be done, I think, in a more seamless way. We also are looking to be more aggressive at pre-positioning assets as needed. Now, as you know, when you have a cone of uncertainty that stretches the entire state, pre-positioning assets is a little bit more difficult to know where that most makes sense. But as the, I think, track becomes more clear, we will be willing to do that as well. Anyone else? Well, one, I think that if you looked at 2016, we had relatively minor storms compared to what we've seen since then. But that was really the first season where we've done this since, I think, 2005. Irma was really test because that affected so many parts of the state. So I think in terms of like the utilities, I think they learned a lot, and I think I've been in contact with FPL, and they really understand the importance of getting this stuff back online. And so we obviously, things like our emergency declaration, that allows them to move more resources quickly across Florida's roads. I would also say, we do have some of the municipal utilities who I think, it has been a little bit more difficult at times. We want to work with them. If they need help from the state, we'll be willing to help. And I think so will the private utilities be willing to help as well. Because, when the storm passes, the quicker you can get the power on, the easier it is to really do the recovery. And I also think that on the back end, we've obviously made a lot of changes. Hopefully, the storm, we don't need to do it as much as we did with Matthew or with Michael, but we did a whole host of things to be able to get the aid out quicker so that those communities would be able to do it. Now, our pre-landfall declaration will allow us to get federal reimbursement for a lot of the preparations that are being done. And so that's a huge weight off the shoulders of a lot of the local communities. And then I did mention with Jared Moskowitz, we are trying to be more proactive with, making sure that the contracting goes seamlessly. So Jared has put a different process in place. But then also, if we have a good sense of where the strongest need's going to be, to work on pre-positioning assets. I mean, we have close to 1 million gallons of water, drinking water, and I think we got about 1.2 million meals that are available. And obviously, as circumstances dictate, we may need to do more than that. I would also just like to say, I had initially been planned to come to Miami today before this storm really started to take a more ominous turn to announce the appointment of 4 new judges to the circuit court. So we are going to put that out today via press release. They're great judges. I think all of them have ties. So we're going to do the event at the U. And while that wouldn't make up for the loss against University of Florida, at least you see.
All right, we're going to take back coverage here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he's starting to talk about some local issues regarding judges. As you see on the forecast here, it appears the National Hurricane Center has raised the projected high winds that could be occurring when this storm makes landfall. Sometimes they try to downplay the exact category that the storm will be when it could make landfall. They'd like to, the word to be out there that it could be a dangerous storm, regardless of whether it's on the cusp of becoming a 4 or if it's, just at a 3 status. It's still, potentially devastating storm depending on the exact track and the exact, wind strength within a certain range. But you do see there that the storm is now, according to the latest forecast, projected to potentially strengthen to a Category 4 before landfall. It's a 1 right now, so that's going to be significant strengthening for that to occur. But it's something we're going to have to keep a close watch on as things move forward. We do have a little bit of video here. Hurricane Dorian has been wreaking havoc on parts of the Caribbean. Heavy rains and intense winds are slamming St. Thomas. Dorian is strengthening, as we mentioned, is expected to make landfall in Florida over the weekend. That's the current projected path, most likely into Florida, although there is still a possibility it goes north toward Georgia or elsewhere, or south towards Mexico. Florida's governor, as you heard there, has already declared a state of emergency. Depending on what path Dorian takes, Jacksonville, Florida could be in for a direct hit. So we're going to continue to monitor this as we move through the rest of the week and into the weekend. Let's get you a quick look at some other stories from our area today. Police removed an arsenal of weapons from a home in the city's Bustleton section overnight. They made the discovery after getting a call to check on the welfare of a 72-year-old man living on the 9700 block of Northeast Avenue. Once inside, officers found more than 50 weapons, including handguns, shotguns, rifles, hand grenades, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and even a pipe bomb. The fire department was also called to test a couple of containers, which turned out to be liquid mercury.
When police began confiscating the weapons, they found at this point over 50 guns. Some handguns, some rifles, some shotguns, some are military weapons, some appear to be assault rifles. So
this was an arsenal.
An arsenal, and the guns were found in the bedroom, in the basement, living room, dining room, kitchen. We found some in the attic up in the crawl space. So there were guns throughout the house. Some were hidden, some were in plain view.
That was Philadelphia Police Department I believe it's Chief Inspector Small. I believe that's his current rank. All of the weapons have been taken to Northeast detectives to be identified as legal or not. The man was sent to a local hospital for a mental evaluation. In Camden County, the mother of a toddler found dead in an alley last year has been charged with the boy's murder. A grand jury indicted 24-year-old Tisnea Brown yesterday in connection to the death of 20-month-old Javi Brown. In October of last year, a passerby saw the child's body in a lot. 2 months later, police say his dad reported him missing. His death was ruled a violent homicide, but there were no specifics at the time as to what happened. Brown is also charged with endangering her other 2 kids. In Newcastle County, a man is charged with exposing himself to a woman at a hotel, then stalking her. Police say 25-year-old Jemani Braddocks from Brooklyn, New York, exposed himself on Tuesday night to a clerk at a Holiday Inn Express on the 300 block of Rocky Pond Parkway. He was asked to leave, but when the clerk was leaving work, he tried talking to her in the parking lot. He then followed her to a nearby CVS and tried to grab her. According to police, that's when she called authorities and the suspect was arrested. In South Philadelphia, the U.S. women's national team is taking center stage at Lincoln Financial Field. It's all part of the team's victory tour. Last night, fans were invited to watch the World Cup champs during practice. And tonight, thousands will be coming out to watch as they play against Portugal. More than 46,000 tickets were sold, breaking an attendance record for the team. Tonight's game starts at 7. There are still tickets available. We post a link to get those tickets on fox29.com. Happening now, the family of a woman killed by a drunk driver who had 6 DUIs is trying to change the law. It's called Deanna's Law. It's named after Deanna Ekman, a 45-year-old Delaware County woman killed by a drunk driver earlier this year. Back in February, police say 30-year-old David Strawhauer crashed his truck into Ekman and her husband as they were driving in Upper Chichester. Police say Strawhauer was drunk behind the wheel and had 5 prior DUI convictions. He pled guilty to homicide by vehicle. Yesterday, lawmakers offered legislation mandating anyone with 3 DUI arrests be fitted with an alcohol monitoring device that can test a person's perspiration for alcohol and alert a monitoring agency if detected. The proposed bill also toughens penalties for drunk driving. Governor Tom Wolf has announced an initiative to eliminate lead poisoning in kids. Wolf says Pennsylvania has the 6th highest percentage rate for children suffering from lead poisoning in the country. In response, Governor Wolf is calling for legislation to mandate blood testing between 9 to 12 months of age and again at 2 years. He also wants to develop local response teams to help kids with elevated lead levels by getting more people trained in lead treatment. Gun violence continues to be a very big problem in our country and our city. Sadly, you see the reports on our air almost every day. But what you don't often hear are details about the victims and their families left behind. Our next guest is trying to change this one runway at a time. Here is this conversation from Good Day Philadelphia this morning.
At 7:32. As you know, gun violence continues to be a very big problem in our country and certainly in Philadelphia. Sadly, you see the reports on our show every single day. But what you don't often hear about are the details about the victim and their families that are left behind. Our next guest is trying to change that in a big way. Zarina Lomax is a talk show host, designer, and activist working hard to shed light on lives cut short by gun violence. She was inspired to do so after losing a friend who was like a sister to her back in March of last year. Dominique Oglesby was a student at Penn State University, gunned down in West Philadelphia a month shy of her graduation. Losing her changed Zarina's life, as did having a father in prison for murder. It's this reality that's led the South Philadelphia native to use her creative platform to bring attention to lives gone too soon. For a second year, Zarina is hosting a fashion show where the focus is not just on the clothes, but the pictures of murdered victims that are showcased front and center. She believes this approach, along with art and live performance, will not only bring about awareness, but prayerfully change. And Zarina's here now with people who have lost their loved ones to gun violence. Now, this is the second year that we're going to do this.
Yes.
It's September the
8th.
So that would be a week from Sunday.
Yes.
Why? Why'd you want to do it the first time?
The reason why I wanted to do it the first time is because of this young lady right here, Dominique Kamani Oglesby. Her mother is here. She was gunned down March 18th of 2018. And I already was in media, and I already had a heart for passion. But what I noticed was that not everybody's going to watch TV, not everybody's going to come to a fashion show. I just wanted to be able to bring awareness in every aspect. So I decided to put every aspect together. Art, fashion, music, everything that I was already doing, and to make one impactful show. But instead of just saying their names, to show their pictures. When you see the pictures, when you see the videos, it shows the actual encounters that they live every day. This is every day. Even though this is a hot topic that y'all hear of, this never goes away.
And we talk about numbers all the time, the numbers of people that have died. But we forget that they were with us. They were real people. We loved them.
Exactly.
And don't forget about them.
Yes.
So let's talk to Dominique's mom down here. Tell me something about her.
Oh, Dominique was smart. She was beautiful. She loved her family. She loved education. She traveled. She's just truly missed, Mike. She's truly missed.
Okay. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And tell me your name.
My name is Julia Robbins, and I'm here to represent my son, James Walk, who was brutally gunned down in the streets of Germantown, February 23rd, 2016. My James loved life. He had 2 adorable sons who miss him dearly, and his family. He just loved life. He would have loved to have been here, just living the life, enjoying the world, enjoying people. He was affectionate. He was just had a lot of passion for life and family.
Thank you for telling us about him.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let me see your face. There you go. Who are you?
My name is Willisha Robinson Bethel.
Okay. How did you lose your loved one?
He was murdered. He was shot on Easter Sunday, April 1st, 2018, which resulted in his death 2 days later. Okay. He was 16 years old, scholar athlete, leader, honor roll achiever, very good child.
And you miss him?
Yes.
Of course. Let me give me your name.
Sonia Dixon.
And how did you lose your loved one?
Okay, well, these are my grandchildren. Zaki on the left, Kenyon on the right. They're brothers. I lost Zaki June 19th, 2017. Set up, unnecessary gun violence, shot multiple times in front of his dad's house. I lost his brother September 28th of 2018 by a drive-by shooting in front of my house.
In front of your own house?
In front of my house.
What did they love to do?
Both of them loved cooking. Kenyon had a passion for rapping. He was an inspiring rapper. And Zaki, he had a real big heart, beautiful smile, and he loved to cook. And that's what his plan was, to
become a chef.
Become a chef.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in. Give me your name.
Hi, my name is Crystal Arthur, and this is my son, Christian. Christian was murdered on July the 16th, 2017. Christian was a really great guy. He was loved by many, and he was the one that was like the pusher. If he found out that there was something that you like to do, he was the one to help
encourage you to do it.
Encourage you to do it. And his whole goal was to make everybody win. So he's really missed. He's missed a lot.
I'm sure. Thank you for coming in. So, Serena, again, it's September the 8th. How can our viewers help you out? Can they come to this event?
Yes, and if you can't come, last year I had 16 families. This year I have over 50.
Wow.
So I like to sponsor the families. You can donate. You can go to Eventbrite, the Epilogues Live. You can follow me on social media, Serena Lomax. You can donate PayPal, Cash App. You can come to the door and donate. These families just need an opportunity for their loved ones to be remembered, and I will do it in every aspect that I'm able to do. So TV, film, radio, whatever God allows me to do, I will do it. So I give God the glory for this today. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you for allowing us to come on and share.
Sure.
And I never saw that footage with Dominique, so forgive me for crying.
Oh, no, it's understandable. And I will see you that on September the 8th. Okay.
Everyone is welcome. If you can't come, please donate. But if you can come, I would pray that you would come, because I would hope that you understand when you're able to see these loved ones and so many unsolved murders. There's a lot of people that will be there who do not have any justice if that ever happens.
Thank you for doing this. It's so powerful, and we should never forget. And we'll be right back.
Thank you to our guests for joining us for that segment on Good Day Philadelphia this morning. Again, going to take you back live to the Benjamin Franklin Parkway there. See the Made in America Festival setup underway. I want to thank you very much for joining us on Fox 29 News Now today. Have a great rest of your Thursday. And have a wonderful Labor Day weekend if you're as the holiday weekend occurs, the unofficial end of summer. Thank you again for joining us. We'll have continuing coverage of Hurricane Dorian and its path, right now looking probably towards the southeast coast. Florida in the crosshairs at the moment. Storm could potentially, is expected to strengthen, could potentially be as strong as a Category 4 when it makes landfall overnight Saturday into Sunday. That's what the current forecast projection is. We'll continue to monitor that. We had Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at the National Hurricane Center earlier talking about the storm. We'll keep you posted on fox29.com and, of course, the latest on Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11 tonight. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great rest of your Thursday.